automatically. Good afternoon, good evening to the folks. I want people all over the place. Welcome to Coast Packers. Got me Amar and my boy Trag here. Just gonna go ahead and start our show for the week. It's been a crazy week. Minicamp just finished up. We're gonna go over some minicamp stories, some things that the folks said, the players talked about during their pressers, the coaches' comments. Unfortunately, talking about Jaire and him no longer being a Packer. We have our own, type of two-way player, having some new fresh free agents coming in and having a fresh start, and just talk about things that are going on in the last couple of weeks in the Packer Nation. But before I go any further than that, Trey, my man, how are you doing? How's the radio show? How's the farm life? Tell me what's going on with you, brother.
Oh man, well, yeah, Mizorowski 101 struck him out. There we go. Got the Miz starting tonight. Brewers got one of their top prospects up, making his debut for this season here, starting pitcher, and he's gone 5 scoreless so far. He's been fantastic, so we'll see. Maybe they'll trot him out for the 6th. I don't know. Sometimes when it comes to baseball, you try to avoid the third time through the batting order. You want to throw your rookies to the wolves, but you also don't want to throw them to the wolves. So you kind of maybe just a little bit, but if you get into trouble, we're going to pull you right away. So we'll see what happens there. I'm doing good. There's been a lot going on with the Packers. Radio show has been great. I mean, we've been getting a good following, everything like that. Make sure you guys are checking it out. 92.3 WOSQ on Wednesdays, 7 to 9 with Amar. Amar stops by every week. I mean, he's regular now. At this point here, we talk Packers every week. So make sure you're checking that out. But, I mean, Packers have been crazy. Brewers, who knows with the Brewers? They've been so hot and cold, it's not even funny. NCAA's got a new settlement. The universities are paying players now. So, I mean, the sporting world it's kind of taking off. It's kind of taking off right now, and it's good because right now we're getting close to the dog days of summer where the sporting world kind of dies down for a little while. So it's good to have news stories and keep things relevant for right now, except for listening to Shams tell me that Giannis is leaving Milwaukee because Giannis even said, I miss Woj at this point. And that was,
I saw that.
That was hilarious.
I'm a Shams guy, but Woj is OG, right? That's
it's just
OG,
my problem is right now it's ESPN and it's the analysts. They run out of things to talk about and they want to stay relevant. So how do they do it? They create all these rumors and they're like, and it sucks because Woj wouldn't have made that rumor. Giannis basically said point blank, I can't wait to be back there with the Bucks. Yeah. That's what he said about the finals. And then Shams comes out and says, Giannis has built his brand on loyalty. And, at this point, it looks like he's going to explore out there. And it's like, dude, do you pay attention to what Giannis is saying?
You listen to what he's saying?
Report that. Well, Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee. What can Milwaukee do? It's so simple, yet we got to stir pots. I don't know. Sometimes they make up rumors and crap, and it just annoys me. It annoys me more than anything. If you don't have anything to talk about, just play ESPN The Ocho or something. I don't want to watch you guys talk about BS for 8 hours.
It's funny, too, because they do that shit for football, too. That's the
crazy, right? Everything. It's like, why? Why stirring a pot when there isn't a pot to stir? Just
they'll hear a rumor.
News. What happened to when it was actual news, sporting news, not this? I mean, look at I don't know, ESPN, the mothership, as Dan Patrick calls it. It's just gone down the tank. It's 100%. Just, I mean, back in the day, it was business. It was getting up there and fans, it was business-like. Now it's I love Pat McAfee, but Pat McAfee is cussing and swearing and throwing down. He's got alcohol on set there, I'm okay.
Dipped over, dog. He's dipped over, man. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's exciting. I like exciting, but it's also sometimes it reaches a point where it's what am I watching? This ain't Sports Center anymore, right? And I don't know. They fired off all the good people. It's trying to keep Stephen A. Smith and Mike Greenberg around. Mike Greenberg sucks. I'll tell you that. He sucks. I can at least handle Stephen A., but Mike Greenberg just sucks. And he's on for 1 day a week. They had a whole show called Greeny, and he was on Mondays. That's it. And then Greeny for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was somebody else was in there. And I'm like, What am I watching? Like, I don't know. It just, oh, I've had enough. I've had enough. Don't even get me started anymore. Don't even get started anymore on the mothership. Well, let's talk some Packers because I'm just going on a burner right now.
Okay. Let's talk about Packers minicamp. Minicamp has been pretty interesting. No pads. We got to see a lot of the new rookie talents come in and actually play really well. Golden obviously looks like he's running at a different speed than everybody else. Seems like Jordan is back, healthy, has commanded the offense. I think we're going to see a lot of, Elton is attending camp, but not practicing, probably because, he's doing his hold in. And all in all, Mark Murphy closed out minicamp today. I think he's probably that's his last thing. But he's going to get, Ed Policy is going to start here next month. And I think all in all, I feel like the Packers team as a whole is looking like on offense, we have a pretty good idea what we're going to get, right? Even though we don't know who's going to make the team when it comes to certain positions, wide receiver, running back, and offensive line. It's going to be kind of interesting to see what plays out. But on defense, with certain things that have occurred now, it kind of makes you wonder when it comes to all right, I believe in Halfley, in God we trust and Halfley we trust, right? But what are you thinking when it comes to offense? What are you thinking about that now, how the defense is looking, and what are you feeling about Jaire no longer being there and our new two-way player?
Bo Melton said, I ain't no cornerback. I ain't no cornerback. This was just a phase, basically. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be whatever they tell you are,
100%.
Because otherwise you're gone. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you were on the short list. There's a short list, buddy. You're one of them. So I'm sorry. Because I would say, I don't know. He's a good special teamer, but how can you keep a receiver just because he's a good special teamer? Right. Mm-hmm. You have your secondary guys for that who you can send out there. And that's where they're kind of trying to get Bo Melton. So I don't know how that's going to all shape out, but I think it's going to be like a Keyshawn Nixon thing where last year he's like, I ain't returning kicks no more. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, we kind of need you to. And then he's like, oh, I'm returning kicks again. So, I mean, that's, kind of where I see this one shaping out. Jaire being gone. Did it catch me by surprise? Yes. Because the way that this dragged on, I honestly thought they were just going to get a contract done, whatever it was. They were just going to keep him. And they offered him one last one, and they said, take it or leave it, basically. And he was like, this camp said, well, we're going to leave it. And Goody, and I like this. Goody did not get on his knees and beg. He didn't say anything. He said, well, we gave you our best. This is our best offer. We're done. I kind of like that for the simple fact of Jaire. I love the guy. He's when he's out there, he's a top corner, everything like that. When he's out there, the defense is better. But it's been hard getting him out there. And when a guy is consistently injured, how do you vouch for that every single year? Because you're like, oh, well, if Jaire was here, we could do this. And if Jaire was here, we could do this. But it's if. It was always if and if and if. And it just became to the point last season where, and this is where I got annoyed, was you watched all week and it's like, oh, he's a full participant on Tuesday. He's a full participant on Wednesday. Thursday's limited. And then all of a sudden he's gone. He's done for the week. And it's like, what happened? Why is he doing this? And it's like, oh, well, he's only 75%. Oh, he's only 82%. Oh, he's only 87%. It's like, okay, but at what point do you just play through it? And that was the problem, is he just doesn't play through it. Christian Watson looks like a guy, if he could go, he'd go. There's a lot of guys in this roster, like look at Josh Myers last year. I mean, he tore everything up in his shoulder and his pack, and he's like, I'm playing. And that's the kind of guys that you need at times. And it's just Jaire wasn't that guy. So, I mean, hopefully he goes somewhere and ends up playing well. I hope so. I don't dislike him. I hope he does well. I just hope it's not against the Packers. I hope he goes out of the NFC North. I don't have to see him twice. If he goes to the Ravens, it'd be cool to see him at the end of the year. It'll also be cool to see Jordan Love light him up. So that'd be cool too. So, I mean, in all, the defense I listen to ESPN Milwaukee, and those people are just absolutely
don't even
sometimes, and they love the hot takes and everything like that. I don't think Goody is trying to set this up to lose. I don't think that was this move. I honestly think the move for Nate Hobbs, people are like, oh, well, and I know he's been injured and everything. He's had his own injury problems, and I get that. So is Eric Stokes. And Eric Stokes hasn't been good since he was there. So, or since coming back from injury. So, I mean, you got better simply by adding Nate Hobbs for Eric Stokes. Stokes is gone. You got Nate Hobbs in there now. Did you get ultimately better by losing Jaire? No. But could you realistically look at it and say last season, well, losing Jaire from last season is the downfall of this team? No. Because when I look at the playoff game, they didn't lose the playoff game because of the secondary. And if you thought they did, I don't know what you were watching. If you watch the offensive line, going out and getting a guy like Banks, that was addressing the offensive line right then and there. And that's what I think Goody did this offseason when he addressed the needs. He didn't go overboard, but he addressed the needs that they had. Well, not all the needs, but some of the needs that they had. And now he's like, okay, now we got to see what we got in the room. So it's hard to judge, right? Because everybody wants to judge this team with, no shoulder pads out, we're just chucking balls around and stuff like that. I like what I've been seeing. The young guys getting in there. They've been showing off some good hands. Savion Williams still worries me. The hands. They absolutely worry me. I watched a video of him. I think he had a little curl route and he broke it off and like juggled the ball a little bit when it was coming to him. And I was like, oh boy, like, that's something that worries me. But, Dontavian Wicks looks like he's worked through that kind of stuff. So hopefully maybe he can, because Dontavian Wicks had a drop problem. So maybe he can work with Savion Williams and be like, hey, this is what I did. And maybe it'll help you. I don't know. That's having guys who have had those problems in the past. Sometimes that does benefit a guy who has those problems now. So we'll see. Some of these guys getting a little bit older. Maybe they can help some of these guys out. But yeah, I mean, I love what I'm seeing right now. I love that Joey Ortiz is finally hitting a ball again. Wow. I didn't know he could actually hit. So honestly, right now I'm doing good. And I like the look of this team. I do. I like the look of this team. I still think there's room to add. I really do. I still think there's room to add. And there's guys out there in free agency. You got some cap space. I like where they're at. Would love to see what they can do now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you hit on a lot of things. It was funny because, like, if you listen to what Goody said, they actually it came and find out that basically it was like, all right, hey, look, either you're going to play at a lower rate or you're not going to play for us. So on Sunday, I think they tried to readdress it again. Jaire was like, nope, I'm not doing any kind of extension. I'm not going to restructure. I'm not going to take a incentive-based salary. None of that. I'm going to play my contract out or you're going to have to cut me. They said, all right, we're cutting you. And I'm with you. If he goes to the Ravens, get to play with his former teammate and probably one of his best friends and Lamar Jackson when they played together at Louisville, hey, sign me up for that. I think that'd be great. I want to see him succeed. I want him to see I want to see what kind of money he does get on the market because he did hold himself in a high regard. But you're right, though. The best ability is availability, and he hasn't been available. And, Nate Hobbs is the guy we picked up from the Raiders. It seems like we have like a little hard on from everybody from the Raiders because Rich Bisaccia loved them from one way or another.
I don't love Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, let me tell you, yeah, no joke, that dude just he must have another he has a grip on Gutekunst when it comes to playing game players. But Nate Hobbs, a lot of my friends that are Raiders fans say he's an amazing player, but he just can't stay healthy. Right? I feel like, all right, well, you're getting Jaire. You're getting basically a lesser version of Jaire. But when it comes to injuries, he plays a little bit more than Jaire, but not by much, right? So it'll be interesting to see. One of those things I do agree with you on Jaire was if he wasn't 100%, he wasn't going to play. And he actually talked about that about 2 years ago when they were playing against Minnesota. And he was definitely out there banged up. And Jordan Addison ate his ass up. And what did he say? He's like, well, if I'm out there playing the 80% and I give up a touchdown, people are like, hey, why are you playing so crappy? And if I don't play, now people are calling me soft. So it is definitely one of those things, damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Yep. And I feel like, you look at Jordan, he was out there with literally looked like he broke his damn knee. Then he had torn groin, then a torn UCL. I mean, just one thing after another. He was just out there trying to grind, right? And end of the day, if you knew Jaire was going to go, which I felt like they did, then it was like, all right, well, then why weren't you trying to make better picks? Because I understand, you have some faith in the guys you have in the room. You brought in Nate Hobbs, but drafting two guys in the 7th round who probably aren't going to A, make the team, or B, are going to be probably special team guys, not really kind of making me feel good there. I know Carrington Valentine is playing way above his draft status, but yeah, that's my thing where on offense, I feel like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago where we had 13 receivers on the roster. Right. So for Bo Melton to make the team, you're right. He's going to have to do everything he can figure out to get on that team because you got Mecole Hardman out here catching 75-yard touchdowns from Jordan Love in practice right now and looking good doing it. Right. And I'm like, all right, well, if we were first thinking that Hardman won't even make the team. Now we don't even know, really. And then you got Christian Watson out there looking like he didn't even get hurt on January. He looks good. For a guy that literally tore his ACL 6 months ago, he looks pretty freaking good. I wouldn't be surprised if our training staff is one of the most conservative staffs that you'll ever find. So I don't know if he'll be there week 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him on PUP for 4 weeks and then he comes back in October, which would be honestly the best case scenario for us, right? Yeah. Having Golden and Watson there for most of the season, sign me the hell up. I'm with you though. I feel like, I think when those guys on the Milwaukee show, who I do get really annoyed with, but the reason why they say what they say is you do watch teams like the Chiefs and the Eagles basically consistently keep making moves, keep churning the roster. But the way they do it is not to churn the bottom of the roster; they're churning the top of the roster. They're getting guys. I mean, don't be surprised they somehow trade for Trey Hendrickson or TJ Watt and do something absolutely insane, right? Or they come and get Jaire. I mean, I'm just saying they don't look at a position and say, oh, we're good there. Right, I feel like Gutekunst does that a lot because he is so beholden to his draft picks. Well, I drafted Josh Myers in the second round, so I'm not going to go and draft him the center. I'm not going to bring in somebody. I'm going to hope that he just performs better, and he doesn't. He never did. Right, injuries or no injuries, he just was very average for a second round pick. That is one thing I think is GMs that are willing to cut bait when they know, like, hey, this isn't going to work out. They just cut that person loose. You may cut a good player, but 9 times out of 10, if you know they're bad, they're bad. You just can't wait for them to work into their position, which I'm hoping does not happen with Lucas Van Ness, right? But with that being said, you got Bo Melton. I feel like, the things that have been coming out of camp where, him playing on special teams, him being a shadow on the gunner side when it comes to playing almost like a man position in corner has gotten him really prepared for it. Tucker Kraft talked about how, like, as a man corner, he'd be great, but he just needs to learn how to play zone. I think that's pretty good. And he was a DB when he got to college, but they made him a receiver, right? But I think you nailed it on the head. Like, you don't get to dictate where you're going to play. You play wherever they're going to tell you to play. Play it straight up. Like, if they, you're going to be our Travis Hunter, you're going to be our Travis Hunter. You're going to play all three special teams, offense, defense, so be it. At the end of the day, you making yourself a valuable piece on this team by doing everything you can do is the right thing to do, Jay and Aaron Banks. So that's another thing. You're seeing a lot of guys right now. Like, we're seeing Quay Walker really hasn't practiced at all. Elton Jenkins is waiting for that contract. Aaron Banks has been kind of in and out of rehab. Now you got, Rasheed Walker. You do have just some guys you kind of see like game, Marshawn Lloyd was in it, but now he's been practicing. I know it's June, but I'm just like, you guys had a whole offseason to get healthy. And here we are in minicamp, and a lot of guys aren't practicing. So it's going to be interesting to see basically from the point of what we're seeing in the mini camp and who's performing and who isn't playing. And then when training camp rolls around here in about 4 to 5 weeks, who's going to be available? Because at the end of the day, training camp and preseason is where you decide to make the team or not. And I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, just kind of like, what are your thoughts about some of the stories that have been coming out of minicamp so far?
I talked about last week. I mean, I love the fact that the receivers are so willing to help each other, and that Dobbs and Reed and those guys have been all about helping guys like Golden, helping guys, like Savion Williams, and even, I mean, some of the things that I've been seeing out of Wicks in training camp, because I thought, honestly, last season, if Wicks could have came along, I thought Wicks was going to be a pillar basically to that offense, just because of how dynamic he is and all the things that he can do. And, Reed coming along too would have been, and, Dobbs being consistent and Watson and that, but just having a consistency of Wicks out there without the drop problem, kind of in that right space. And he just never made it to that point. So I think that's been huge, because what I've seen so far, a lot of impressive stuff there. I thought, honestly, watching Jordan Love, I know it's just mini camp, and I get that and everything, so you don't want to read into it too far. I thought he's looked the most fluid that I've seen in a very long time. Like, he looks confident, and that confidence takes you a long way, especially as an NFL quarterback. Ask Aaron Rodgers. That dude's got the most confidence in the world to tell anybody anything at any time and do whatever he wants. Brett Favre was the same way, had the most confidence in the world, would stand back there and take hits from anybody at any time. He didn't care who you were. And that's what I'm seeing out of Jordan Love right now, is the confidence level that he is playing with is massive. So I love that. I absolutely love that. I know, like I said, we're not really at a point where we can start judging guys completely yet. We haven't seen them in a real, actual. We've seen scrimmages. That doesn't count, right? You can burn past Evan Williams right now, but when Evan Williams is feeling it, I don't know if you burn past Evan Williams like McCole Hardman did the other day there. So we'll see what happens. Plus, you're not playing against the best at this moment. They did, I like the signing of another defensive tackle in there. They got that guy from Seattle. So, I love another guy coming into that room there, because we were told the defensive line is going to be able to figure it out this year with Covington now in there. So maybe. But I love having another guy, more flexibility. But I love flexibility. And we saw last week they were talking about Lucas Van Ness sliding in to play D tackle. That could be an interesting move. Now, is he big enough? Yeah, he's getting there. I mean, he's around big enough. It depends.
Right.
How do you deploy him, right? Are you asking him to be a run stopper? Or are you asking him to be a pass rusher? Because if you throw him in there as a pass rusher up the middle, he could be pretty darn good in that role. Now, if you're asking him to be a run stopper up the middle, now is there other guys that fit that role better? Like maybe a young guy like Stackhouse, or you're going to have other guys. Who's the other guy from Georgia coming in? He's a big fella too.
Yeah,
Brinson.
Brinson.
Brinson coming in.
You get Brinson gets you jacked up. You always get Stackhouse, and then Brinson.
Stackhouse is a great name for a.
It is a great name.
That is a great name, especially for a big fella of his size. That is a great name. But
wasn't that guy named Trueblood named Stackhouse? Isn't that the guy?
Yes. Yes. I love the size that they're getting in there. And, maybe a healthy Kenny Clark, right? We're finding out that he was injured last season, first game. So hopefully that gets figured out. It's making me all these stories coming out, about that injury, about Lucas Van Ness, the mental block. I'm hoping that goes away and everything else. It's making me feel better about what I saw last year. Because Goody and everybody they're trying to say, well, we can fix it in-house. We can fix it in-house. And we're all sitting here like, can you really? Like, are you sure you can? Because we watched it. It sucked. Can you fix it in-house with these guys? And it's making me feel better if that's the case of, okay, Kenny Clark he had foot surgery. I mean, that would derail any defensive tackle who's trying to move if your foot hurts every time you step. So it's definitely going to limit your mobility. So really could have led to what we saw out of Kenny Clark there. And Lucas Van Ness, if it was truly a mental block for him, the lack of using the hands, you need your hands to play defensive line. If that was a problem, okay. Now it makes me feel a little bit better about these guys. Now, do they have to prove it to me? Yes. And do I have a short leash on them figuring it out? You're dang right I do, because they got to figure it out fast. Otherwise, if I'm Goody, I'm going out and I'm looking around because I got money. I got money in the bank. I can make some trades maybe and find some guys, but I'm not waiting around for too long.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I think the craziest thing is that you did get a lot of information in these press conferences and these interviews from the players when it comes to Kenny Clark's injury about the foot. That kind of explains why he had such an off season, because people were really in the age catching up with him. Or honestly, it was an injury. And then you got Lucas Van Ness, who again, Jacob Morley and my boy Austin Krieger both have called him Hercules based on vibes alone, based on looks alone. And no joke though, he looks great. And I think you just don't want these players that look amazing on the field, but when it comes to actually playing the game, they're just, subpar, right? The Vernon Golstons of the world, right? And I feel this is the year where Devontae Wyatt, a lot of first-round picks who really need to show, all right, it's time to step up or shut up, right? And I feel like it was funny even with the draft. Matthew Golden was a great pick, right? Then the Melton pick, we're kind of like, eh. And then when it came to Savion pick, we're like, not bad, but we're kind of like, right? Then the second half of that draft was literally all defense and was basically what we're so damn used to every year is we're drafting defensive players all the damn time, right? Because Aaron Rodgers just basically cured everything on offense. And truth be told, I felt like we did really well on the back end of that draft. And I feel like Goody is one of those guys where when it comes to rounds 2 through 7 and undrafted free agents, he kills it, right? And it's always funny how every year, I think us as Packer fans do this more than anybody else, where we find a player who is an undrafted free agent or a 7th round pick, we fall in love with him, and that's the guy that we hope makes the team, and that's the guy we hope has a Tramon Williams or Sam Shields type of career, right? And we're looking at Bo Melton, right? We're looking at, Kalen King. We're looking at these guys there, we're looking at Kazir Bugs Brown, right? And we're looking at, Jonathan Baldwin. They paid him the most money that they paid any free agent, undrafted free agent for his signing bonus. Just these guys who you don't know nothing about, but you just fall in love with them. You want to run with them. And just listening to the press conferences, I think you nailed it on the head. Jordan Love just sounds different. My man's getting married here in a couple months. I'm very excited for that. He's become, honestly, just look at the way he looks from when he was drafted to now. It's like they did a side-by-side picture of Rodgers when he was drafted to now. And, people are making fun of it, saying this is your life before crystal meth, this is your life after crystal meth. So that was kind of funny. But when you look at Jordan, it's like he's growing into his own. He's growing into himself, right? He's growing up. He's becoming an adult. And you know what? Like everything has been coming out of, I know it's minicamp. We both said it, right? No pads, no tackling. But I don't feel like the offense was as efficient as it has been this new season as it has been in the previous mini camps and stuff like that. There's a lot of disjointedness. He was having some issues with the offensive line, this and that. I still remember last year we were watching these games and the number of times our offensive line had so many false start penalties, right?
Yep.
And I'm really hoping that they can just kind of like stop having these self-imposed issues, right? And these press conferences are giving us a little bit of insight. Even I hear Tucker Kraft talking about having a more prominent role, and just hearing him break down what he needs to do from a responsibility standpoint of when he comes off the line, he needs to look to see if the linebacker is going to make a hook route or he's going to carry him over or he's going to stay where he is, as well as like if he's going to go up the seam, like having option routes and stuff like that. I truly think this is going to be the Tucker Kraft breakout season. We're going to see Golden be my guesses for right now are going to be Golden is going to be the offensive rookie of the year. I think Tucker Kraft is going to be probably like, tight end 3 from a fantasy perspective. Okay. Jordan Love's going to get MVP votes. And man, and Josh Jacobs is probably going to be in the running for actual MVP. Those are the things I'm putting out there right now. And other than that, Xavier McKinney is going to be probably our defensive player, defensive player of the year is what I'm going to call for. I'm going to call those right now. Boom, 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 boom. And hey, I think I'm very much hyperbolic right now. I think this sparkling water drink must have alcohol in it, even does have no alcohol in it.
Gets you fired up, but
get me fired up right now, dog. I'm telling you. And honestly, seeing where we have now gone from the team is set, and we're going to see, the best are going to make the team, right? What are your thoughts on Isaiah Simmons? Because he talked at length today, for like almost 20 minutes, and he just had a very humbling way he spoke when he was an 8th overall pick for Arizona, and then he got cut, and then he got picked up by the Giants and got reinvigorated. What do you think Hafley is going to be able to do with a guy like him?
Versatility is going to be the big thing with him, and that's the thing is nobody knows what he's going to do with him. It's going to be a lot of crazy packages. What are you going to send him on? Is he going to be kind of like a hybrid guy, a hybrid safety, hybrid linebacker, almost like what I would imagine if a Hunter Wohler from Wisconsin would have came.
Yeah, Hunter, good.
What he would have been able to do with them. He's going to be just a little bit everywhere. He's going to be in pass coverage. He's going to be a guy where you're going to send him after the quarterback, send him after the back, whatever you got to do. And I think that's going to be huge. I mean, you get that with a guy who he started out with the Cardinals and he ended up with, the Giants, and the Giants were like, oh, you're not even good enough. You're not good enough to play the Giants. You just feel like you're absolute garbage. And then a team like the Green Bay Packers comes in and they pick you up and they give you this shot, and you're in a room with guys like Xavier McKinney, who Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, those guys are able to build you up. And then you're also in there with a lot of an impressionable, yet, talented young guys where you're like, I can grow with these guys. Now I'm in a room where I'm in a winning room where I'm not expected to be the number one guy night in and night out. I got a lot of talent around me. I just have to do my job and do my part in this fluid defense. And that's kind of what I think Hafley wants his guys to be, is he wants to be a cohesive unit, yet he wants to be able to do their parts. And I think that's where they kind of lacked last season.
Yes.
Was that defensive line was doing their parts. And even in the linebacker room with Quay Walker, at times he'd blow past plays. He wouldn't be, he'd be a non-factor in the run game defense. And it was, okay, well, you're not doing your part. We need you to do a part to this. And that's where a guy like Edgerrin Cooper stepped up big time. And I think Isaiah Simmons sees that. And he's like, look at this guy in Edgerrin Cooper who I can, grow next to. Even a guy like Quay Walker who I can grow next to. And Xavier McKinney is huge in this whole defense now, a voice in that locker room. And I think he's feeling great about being in a room like that and having a guy like Hafley who believes in him, having a unit that believes in him again, and a chance at winning. Because when you play for the Giants, it's hard to come in every day. Yeah, it's hard to be like, okay, I'm sucking. I can't figure myself out. And I'm also playing for a sucking team. And it's hard to balance that. So even, coming into Green Bay here, now you're at the winning team, but you're also with a winning defense. You're with a top defense who now you can learn from a guy like Hafley, learn through this defense. And, like I said, the versatility of him, the versatility of a guy like Colin Oliver, who's a good pass rusher, the young guy coming in. You have a lot of guys with versatility that we're going to see. Covington, we're going to see Jeff Hafley throw a lot of different packages together for them. Special plays where those guys are going to be involved inside this defense. I think they're going to go away from just running that 4-3. I think they're going to work around. I think it's going to be, maybe they run some 3. Maybe they, it's going to be a lot of different packages that we're going to see. And I think that's where a guy like Isaiah Simmons fits. Even a guy like Bo Melton fits in those special packages that I think Hafley's going to, we always talk about what Matt LaFleur can do with the offense, right? With all these versatile weapons, having a guy like Stevan Williams, having guys like Golden now and Reed, a lot of playmakers, a lot of versatility, Tucker Kraft. Now look at what the defense can do with a guy like Simmons, with his speed and athleticism in such a predominant role. It's a different kind of role. That he's going to be playing for the Packers there. And it's not going to be as pressured. And I think that's the big thing, too, is it's not going to be as pressured on him to be able to produce, which I think is huge for him. And that's why he's so calm, cool, collected. And he's just excited to get out there because, he's probably seeing some of these packages they're drawing up for him. And he's like, all right, I love that. I love to be involved. So, I love the addition from the beginning. And I think he's going to be a huge guy on special teams, too.
Yeah.
It's like an Eric Wilson kind of guy. He's going to be a huge guy in special teams. And I think that's a big reason why they brought him in. And I think it's going to be a big reason why the Packers defense is going to look good this year is a lot of these specialty players.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I thought about Isaiah Simmons. I just thought about a Swiss Army knife. He was like that at Clemson. He was basically a player that just had a lot of amazing God-gifted physical ability, athletic ability, just didn't really have a position to kind of just focus on, right? Playing safety, playing defensive, playing linebacker, playing a little bit defensive line, playing a little bit corner. Like he was just all over the place, right? And now they're like, all right, you're going to play linebacker. That's what you're going to do. And like you just said, the guy ran like a 4.38, and he's like 230 pounds. And I'm sorry, you saying him as a blitzer through the A gap. I don't know, man. It's going to be kind of hard to get your hands on a guy like him. So I'm really, really excited to see what Jeff Hafley can do with a guy like him because, the way he spoke today, you could just tell he's really looking forward to the new opportunity to, again, be with a defense that is a top 10 defense. And also the guy like Hafley, who's not just a guy who knows his stuff, but he's a great communicator. You see that with the way he's coaching these guys up. He's coaching up Bo Melton right now, trying to show him the different things he can do better as a corner. And I just feel like that's something that, you had the Joe Barrys of just trying to tackle the air and do stupid stuff that didn't make no damn sense. But you got a guy over here in Jeff Hafley who just seems like, he just seems like he's on it. And I kind of hate to say it, like if he has another good year and he brings from a top 10 to a top 5 defense, he might be looking at a head coaching job. And I'm hoping to God that he's at a point in his career where he doesn't want that anymore. And he wants to really just focus on just being a really, really good DC. Because you look at the Steve Spagnuolos of the world who had amazing defenses, right? The reason why the Giants won 2 Super Bowls, right? Because of that defense and because of him and because of that defensive line. He goes and becomes a head coach of the Rams and he's terrible. And then guess what? Goes back to being a DC. And that helps the Kansas City Chiefs win how many Super Bowls, right? I'm like, sometimes there's just guys that are just good at what they do, right? And I'm really hoping that we can keep Hafley as long as we can and that he's already kind of done the head coaching thing in Boston College and he doesn't want to do it again. So for me, I'm just excited to see when training camp comes, when the hitting starts, as well as when preseason, because just looking at even like this new kid that they got out of the Canadian League, I'm going to kill his name. I'm just going to call him Eggleman. Okay. I know that's
all you got to do. We know who you're talking about.
But my man is like a monster giant. He's like 6'6", and he has a rocket for an arm. And they said that he was making Cornelius Johnson, one of these guys that he picked up as a receiver, look like Calvin Johnson out there in practice today. So I don't know. I'm telling you, like I'm one of the. I think you and me are both, and most of us Packer fans, we're all freaks for football. It doesn't matter if it's a Thursday night game. It doesn't matter if it's preseason. Hell, it doesn't even matter if it's family night. We're all tuning in. We're all finding a way to watch our boys play in any kind of capacity whatsoever. So I'm hella forward looking to seeing just what the season kind of has for us in the next thing. And I'm trying to I'm going to try to go to as many games as I can this year. There's going to be a lot of games on the East Coast. So I'm going to try to sneak away in some of these games here. So I'm telling you, I can't. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what this team has in store for us because I think one of the things I'm going to say here for my last words is that you have a new sheriff in town, right? Ed Policy. He takes over here in July. Mark Murphy has been here for 18 years, right? He won a Super Bowl as a player. He won a Super Bowl as a CEO, and he helped, kind of basically expand Packer Nation in the sense of like Titletown. He got the draft in Green Bay. He's done a lot of things for his legacy. But now Ed Policy's the new guy. And he probably didn't have any say in hiring Gutekunst and hiring LaFleur. So truth be told, or maybe even selecting Jordan Love, right? He was just a guy that was very focused on Titletown as it was coming up. So you don't know what his thoughts are going to be. You don't know if these guys are potentially shouldn't be on a hot seat, but you never know, right? Sometimes these guys just they're either happy with who's there or they want their own guy. So my last words are I'm really looking forward to seeing what the season brings. I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys getting past some of the adversity they faced last year, because you can't help injuries, but you can help some of the mistakes. And you know what? They need to make the best first impression, because, this Ed Policy's first year. And I remember, I think it was maybe Mark Murphy's first or second year as CEO, they won a Super Bowl. So I'm kind of thinking like, okay, are they going to, you never know, man. Like these things happen. History repeats itself. So we're going to wait and see. What are you feeling here to close out?
I am hoping prayers to Jacob Mizorowski, because he twisted his ankle. Well, he's got a no-hitter going through 6, and they sent him out there through 5. They sent him out there for the 6th. He had a 2-0 count, and then on the 3-0 pitch or 2-0 pitch, he twisted his ankle up and he just left the game. So now I don't know. The guy's making his major league debut tonight, and he's young guy, flamethrower, and a no-hitter going against the Cardinals, and now he's out. So I'm just hoping that they send me a good report with that one. So that's some words on that. But yeah, Ed Policy, coming in, I hope he's lenient, but he's not.
Yeah, I hear you.
He rules with that iron fist where he's like, I'm going to give you this couple of years and you better show me something. If you don't show me something the next couple drafts there, Goody, I'm sorry. I'm done with you. Matt LaFleur, you got to show me something here pretty soon, because guess what? I have a guy in Jeff Hafley who's already in the room, and if I feel like he can do it, I'm going to move him up into your place if you can't do it. So I don't want him to be like this crazy madman who's like, oh, you didn't win 11 games? You're out of here. I don't want him to be like crazy like that. Right. But I want him to be, not as lenient as what it seems like some of these, owners, CEOs, whatever you want to call them. Not every team's like the Green Bay Packers, but I don't want him to be as lenient as some of these owners who are like, oh, well, I like you, so I'm going to leave you around here, because why would you? At the end of the day, why would you? Because you could go out and get a guy. If you got called Kevin Stefanski and you're like, hey, you want to come up here? I'd take Kevin Stefanski as a coach. I'm not saying I hate Matt LaFleur and I'm firing him. He's a great coach. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of great coaches out there who don't have jobs right now and are sitting out there. You had a guy who was in town his name is just blanking me. Who the heck is the Robert Saleh? You had Saleh in town.
Oh yeah.
I don't hate Robert Saleh. So, you have, all these guys who are looking for jobs out there, and we're sitting here like, oh, well, Matt LaFleur is the answer. I think he is yet. I'm not knocking Matt LaFleur. I don't want to fire him. I'm not telling you to fire him or anything like that. But what I'm saying is I don't want to live in this, past era. I don't want to live in this, good enough. I hate being good enough. I want to be you want to be the best. You're the Packers. You want to be the best. And at some point, you can only call yourself Title Town for so long until you start winning more titles, right?
There you go.
And that's the thing, is like, how long do you go between titles before people start talking? And guess what? They're already talking. They're already talking right now. So you got to shut them up. You got the players in the room. You think now. You got to put it away now. You got to find a way to at least get back to the Super Bowl. Because you had, how many more years are we going to talk about this? You had Favre for how many years, and he won 1 Super Bowl. He went to 2, he won 1. You had Rodgers, he won 1. He went to 1 and he won 1.
And had opportunity to go to how many?
Had opportunities,
4, 5?
Who are you going to blame, right? Who do you want to blame? You want to blame Rodgers for all that, or do you want to blame the defense, or do you want to blame the lack of getting playmakers?
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, like, who are you going to blame for all these messes? I don't know, but at the end of the day, you got to stop with the blame game and realize that you had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks for how many years, and you got 2 Super Bowls out of it. It's time to put up or shut up, and that's where I'm hoping Ed Policy's like, it's time to put up or shut up. So, I'm a Packer fan. Okay, I'm not trying to knock the Packers right now. I'm not trying to say they stink and everything like that. But at some point, it's a put up or shut up game.
Right.
That's how it is. And when you're in Titletown, USA, it's put up or shut up time. And I think the Packers are getting to that point because you are door wide open, windows open of the house right now, signing up guys to go put this thing away. And it's like, how much more do you want the window to be open? Because these guys' payday is going to be coming. You're going to lose guys, and then you're going to start out at square zero. So, I mean, it's now or never, right? So I'm interested to see, like you said, I mean, this is where you kind of prove it. A lot of these guys are going to prove it in this time. What are the things that the Packers do to prove it? Hey, we're going for it.
Yeah.
Because if you're telling us that you're going for it, are you going to spend some of this cap money? What are you going to do? What are you going to do right now it's not and that's the thing is like, when we talk about the Eagles and we talk about all these other teams and it's like, oh, well, they go out and make all these moves. It's not always the flashy moves.
No.
It's those little guys. It's the Rasul Douglas makes a random tackle in the NFC Championship game that in the third quarter that stops him on a 3rd and 5, and now it's 4th and 2. It's those little things, and it's those little plays and those little playmakers that do it for you. And the Packers, sometimes they miss those guys. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, right now, if you feel like you have your stars, because you have to have your stars, but then you have to have your cast of characters. You have to have the guys behind it. Do you have the cast of characters behind it? Because right now, I get if you don't want to go spend all that cap money. I understand it. Like, you got to have money to spend on these other guys, extensions and everything. I get that. So who are you going to go grab me to fill holes? Who are you going to add for depth in the cornerback room? Because are you going to trust a guy? Kalen King's got a cast on right now. So are you going to trust that he's going to be healthy? Like, where are you at right now with the secondary? Are you comfortable with it? It's those kinds of questions that I have right now. And will the Packers address it and add depth, good depth, to this roster as this offseason goes on? Because we know it. Other teams, like you said, the Eagles and other teams, they'll swoop in and grab these guys. Yeah. Like Jaire. I mean, he's going to be off the market, I would assume, pretty soon. I mean, I don't think he's going to stick around. Do the Eagles swoop in and grab a guy like that? Okay, so when you see teams like the Eagles and that make moves, how do you answer?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't just
sit on your hands and hope they fall asleep.
You got to hit for hit. Exactly.
Yes,
it's like football, man. Like, sometimes you got to play. When you see your guys making moves, you got to start making moves too. I agree with you 100%.
100%. I agree 100%. That's my last words. I hope Ed Policy rules with an iron fist and he brings some titles back to Title Town, and that's the way it's going to be. I just hope he does it.
It's his pedigree, man. His dad was the president of the Niners when they had those 5 Super Bowls. So you know what? Maybe he can go ahead and do the same thing for us too. I'm going to hold out hope.
Me too. I'm right there with you.
Well, dude, where can all our great folks that are watching us right now, where can they find your stuff and all that good stuff, man?
You can find it, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, basically across all social media platforms, TikTok, Twitch, wherever you get podcasts, that's available out there, Facebook, wherever you get podcasts, everything like that, across all social media. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. You'll find it out there. And then on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9, you can find us 92.3 WOSQ. If you don't get it on your radio station because you're not in central Wisconsin, you can Google it and then Google 92.3 WOSQ. Go in the top right corner, click the play button. You can listen to the show there live there. So, I mean, yeah, there's lots of options to listen to the show. Amar stops by. We talk everything Wisconsin sports, so make sure you're stopping by and checking it out. Make sure you're commenting in and letting us know what you're thinking every week.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. All right, buddy. You guys have a great rest of your day. We got one comment here. Let's check these comments out. Okay, I don't know what that. Yep, that's something else. Don't worry about that. But look, everybody, you guys have a great rest of your day. Happy Friday Eve. And we'll be here back next week talking more Packer stuff and see what if anything else news breaks in the time being.
So, yeah.
All right, bro. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Go Pack, go.